Imagine how good that would be.
Back towards goal, hits the post, but tapped in, and there's Sam Bell.
Naismith slays in corner, that'll do it. And he make an impact right away. He'll try. Oh yes! Tommy Conway's only gone and done it again.
Well, after a disappointing weekend last weekend, defeat to bitter rivals Cardiff, time for another mouth-watering Anglo-Welsh derby. The stakes could not be higher for Liam Manning's men. Despite a valiant display at Portman Road, they left empty-handed. This really feels like a must-win game today. Swansea arrive in BS3, a fragile point behind the Reds, but an upturn in form in the last three has seen them pull away from the Championship trap door. Can Mehmeti make it 2 from 2? Will Naki Wells be back among the goals today? A warm welcome to the Robins TV studio, I should say. Brilliant to have you with us yet again. Can this wounded Bristol City side get back on track? I'm delighted to say that joining me in the studio today is a history maker. Bristol City women's all-time top scorer, Abby Harrison, is alongside me for this one. Abby, thrilled to have you with us. How are you at the moment? How are things going? Recovery from what's been a bit of a difficult time with injury?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's been a really difficult season for me personally. I've had a few sort of injuries, niggles, and probably never actually got going. But hopefully we're on the home straight, and hopefully I'll be back wearing a Bristol City shirt soon enough.
Fingers crossed. And some tough games coming up for the women's side. What have you made? I mean, I know your season's been a bit difficult, of course, with injuries. We've had some really high-scoring games of late for the women's team. But what's it been like acquitting yourself in the top division, the WSL, going to some top grounds and playing against, you know, the best players in the world in some circumstances? Yeah,
no, you're right. I think it's definitely the best league in the world, and as difficult as it's been this season with the results, it's an honour to play obviously at the highest level, and coming against, you know, when you play your Chelseas, your Arsenals, Man City, you are playing a World 11. So it's nice to see sort of where the standard is and where we would like to get to. Obviously that comes with difficulties and tough results, but you know, we know what we're good at, what we need to work on, and ultimately what Bristol City means and where we want to be. And you know, I think we've put a great account of ourselves together, getting the city behind us. We've inspired thousands and thousands of people from the local area, and I think sometimes we need to take away from the results and look at sort of our wider influence that we're having. I
absolutely agree. And just reflecting on today's game as well, for the men's side, going through a bit of a difficult spell at the moment, 4 defeats in a row, big game today. You've been up at the HPC, I'm sure, continuing your recovery. What's the kind of mood been like among the two sides at the moment? Does the HPC almost become a bit of a bubble, a bit of a solace when times are tough and you all kind of come together and kind of block the outside world out a bit?
I think it does. I think it can be a bubble in good times and bad times, but I also think it's very intense. You know, when we're at HPC, it's our place of work, so difficult conversations are had. That's when you speak about the results, speak about what can be better, and you're surrounded by football. You know, it helps if we're going through a bad time, if the men are on a good run, you know, it kind of balances itself out. So when both of us are struggling, probably mentally right now, in terms of getting results back on track, it can be difficult. But credit to, you know, ourselves and the men and all the staff, and that's wider, you know, from the cooks to the cleaners to everyone. It's a place where, regardless of result, you're going in and you're still a person first and foremost, and you know, we'll lean on the men and they'll lean on us, and we go through it together.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Abby. Right, let's get straight into some team news. Our lead commentator, I should say, who will be joined by Abby shortly, is Alex Duffel for the afternoon. Alex, any changes?
Yes, thank you very much, Toby. There are a couple of changes actually for both sides, and I'll get to those in a second. So welcome along all to a brisk but dry Ashton Gate, thankfully, on this Mothering Sunday. Well, the last time that Luke Williams was at Ashton Gate would have been as Bristol City's under-23s boss. Well, 5 years on, and following a successful spell in charge of Notts County, appointed head coach at Swansea in January, and he's made 3 changes to the side, which drew 1-1 away at Watford in midweek. So Norton, Allen and Cullen all come into the starting 11 as Fulton, Darling and Yates drop to the bench. A 4-2-3-1 for the Swans, Rushworth in goal, back four of Norton, Cabango, Wood and Timon. The very experienced duo of Grimes and Allen in the middle of the park. And then look out going forward for the dangerous wingers of Ronald and Poiheta, whilst former Bristol City man Jamie Patterson plays as the number 10 and Liam Cullen leads the line. Top scorer Jerry Yates is on the bench, as is Harry Darling, who was a favourite of Liam Manning back in his MK Dons days. Ex-Robin Liam Walsh is injured, however, so he misses out on a return to Ashton Gate. As for Liam Manning and Bristol City, it's fair to say it's been a frustrating few weeks, although victory today would be the perfect way to respond to that gutting 3-2 defeat to Ipswich on Tuesday. Manning has made just the one change to the Robin side for this afternoon. More on that in a second, but first it's that familiar back line in front of Max O'Leary. So McCrory at right back, Pring at left back, and Viner and Dickey acting as the brick walls in the heart of the City defence. Midfield is also unchanged. Williams and Gardner-Hickman will sit in the middle of the park, whilst today's skipper Jason Knight plays in that more advanced role. Harry Cornick and midweek goalscorer Anis Mehmeti continue on the wings. So that one change today is up front, as the other goalscorer from Tuesday, Tommy Conway, comes into the starting 11 with Naki Wells dropping to the bench. And it is a slightly stronger bench for the Robins this afternoon, with the timely return of Scott Twine to the matchday squad. Manning says he has had a limited amount of training minutes this week, but is fit enough for the bench, and City will be looking for his added creativity should he come on. Bajic, Sykes, Roberts, Knight Labelle and Mabudi round out the City subs for today. So to chat through the team news and give his thoughts on today, here is Robins boss Liam Manning.
Liam, one change today as Tommy Conway comes with Inaki Wells. Looking for more goals from him today?
Yeah, of course. Terrific header the other night. I think his freshness will be a big plus, big boost as well. And yeah, hopefully we can get him bouncing momentum after the confidence of scoring the other night.
You mentioned your frustrations on Tuesday about certain things that didn't go well. But what did you like on Tuesday night that you want to see again today?
Yeah, lots of it, to be fair. I think obviously the frustration comes because it was so close and it was just you're talking 5-10% not quite being right. So for me, like I said, we have to learn from the experiences we've had recently. We have to then make sure that the good stuff we transfer in to the game today. So the block, the out of possession, the discipline to go and do what we did for such a long period against a high level side that are in good form. The way we stopped them, I thought was excellent. So and the fact we carried a threat, obviously scoring 2 goals and creating some chances as well. So hopefully we can take that into the game today, transfer that into the game, and obviously add the final bits.
Swansea City in town today. What do you expect from Luke Williams and his team?
Yeah, we know they want to build, they want to control the ball. So I went and watched them on Wednesday against Watford. So got a clear idea of how it will look for them. But it always comes back to us for me. We've done our homework. We've created our game plan, and it's only then how we execute that and how do we adapt in game depending on changes they make or what gets thrown at us.
Scott Twine returns on the bench. Could we see him make any minutes today?
Yeah, hopefully. Obviously, it'll be. He's been out for a considerable period of time, and we've tried to get him back as quickly as we can. Despite having a couple of setbacks, it's a big boost for the group and for him having him back. So, we'll obviously see how the game goes, but he's available for a few minutes.
Liam Manning there with Robins TV. Just one change for City then today, with Tommy Conway coming back in, having made an impact, of course, off the bench at Portman Road. Scott Twine back on the bench as well. He's spent a bit of time, Scott Twine, in the rehab room, of course. Is there a kind of crossover between the women's side in terms of the sort of recovery team, the medical staff? Do you have much to do with the men's team when you guys are getting back to full fitness yourselves?
I think, we're in the gym. Injured players, male or female, are in the gym together. So naturally, sort of staff will cross over. You'll cross paths. They'll all know what sort of injuries that we're suffering with and what that sort of looks like. And if our physios or their physios need sort of expertise or help, then the help can be given. And there's certain member of staff that the men have that we don't have. So we lean on that and we use that. But yeah, we all rehab together, and there's probably a lot more similarities in terms of rehab programmes than people think. Whether somebody's out with an ankle injury or a shoulder injury, there's a bit of crossover.
Yeah, absolutely. And There's a strong contingent of course, Scottish representatives now, which must be quite nice for you, because for a period of time, I suppose you were kind of flying the flag, of course, involved with the national team yourself. Scott Murray's sort of behind the scenes, who we'll talk about a bit later on as well, as kitman and the bucket collection, of course, that's going on at Ashton Gate today. But that must be quite nice. That strong contingent, and of course, Scottish football is really progressing as well nicely at the moment.
Yeah, no, you're right. I was, the sort of only one for a wee while. But yeah, Scotty's always been great with me. I think naturally, when you're in England and you hear a Scottish accent, whether you think you know them or not, you'll speak to them. So yeah, I've got great relationships with all the Scottish players. I think it was one of Ross's first days. He was in the building, and I was walking down the stairs, and he was like, Abby, and I was like, yeah, and he was like, you're Scottish, and I was like, yeah. So yeah, we have conversations all the time about life down here, how different it is. A lot of us are from Glasgow and not far from each other, and Scottish football world is smaller than it is down here. So you cross paths and you know everyone, and as obviously, as you say, national team, there's a bunch of us girls going out to watch the men. So hopefully we can see Ross in the men's Euro squad this year. Tommy's obviously pushing and might be able to get in with a shout as well. So yeah, it's a small, big world, the football industry.
Absolutely. And of course, Dire Mabude and Tommy have been called up to the under-21s as well, which is very exciting. Hopefully we might see one of those at least in the national side going into the Euros, as you say. And in terms of the two coaches, of course, we know how close Nigel Pearson was to the women's side. He had a great relationship with Lauren Smith and you guys as players as well. Has there been that sort of, I guess, passing of the baton in terms of Liam Manning? Does the philosophy kind of eke across, well, both ways, in fact, the men's side taking stuff from the women's side and vice versa? How does that kind of relationship work?
Yeah, I think, as you say, Nigel was great with us. He was, very visible. He was at all of our games. But I think, that ethos comes from above as well. Of course, he was a driving force for us and was a massive support. But, it comes from above. So I think when the men were recruiting for sort of that manager's role, it's, what you're walking into, and it is equality. There's no sort of preference if it's us or them. You need to support us. That's the way it is, and that's a credit to the club. And I think learning from each other. It's been a difficult, busy period for the men and for us, and there's been very rare times that both of us have had a sort of run of games to be able to sort of knock on each other's door and help out. But I think the difference between Nigel and Liam for Lauren is the experience that's there. Liam's a young manager starting his journey as well, the same way Lauren is. So they're probably at the same part of their journey in that sense. Whereas I think a lot of Nigel's help and support for Lauren was he's walked the walk, and it's how to deal with difficult situations, and that's amassed over a number of years. So yeah, there's always going to be that sort of sharing of support and helping each other out, but it's been a difficult time for both of us. Yeah. So I think there is an element of selfishness, look after ourselves, and then come together for that success. But yeah, we work closely together. We eat together, we're in the gym, we share the pitches. So
fabulous, yeah. Well, the club's certainly set a precedence in many ways. Thank you very much, Abby. Right, still plenty more to come. We'll be hearing from Tommy Conway and looking ahead to this bumper clash. TV. Massive clash today in the Sky Bet Championship. Another Anglo-Welsh derby. Just 1 point separating two struggling sides. But Swansea, of course, have had a bit of an upturn in form themselves. Bristol City looking to bounce back. They'll be calling on the help, of course, of Tommy Conway, who scored a superb header at Portman Road during the week. So we thought we'd catch up with him and ask him a silly question.
Tommy Conway, striker. What are you laughing at? Fictional character. Denzel Washington. Oh, Mykonos. Marbella. Yeah. I was going to say that, but I don't know if that's like PG or what. Yeah. Saluting at Magpies. It's a weird one, but that's my superstition. Have to. Everyone I see. Unpopular opinion. Pineapple on pizza. I'm all for it. In-Betweeners. Has to be, doesn't it? I think everyone knows the lyrics from In-Betweeners. Football. Defo my phone. Ooh. Andy Robertson. Ever eaten? Japanese food. Kibu. And in Mykonos. It's really good. If I have the ability to, or what would I like to play? Oh, as a couple, to be fair. Love to play tennis or golf. One of them. Nice. I like cricket as well. So any of them. Any of them, please.
Tommy Conway there. Andy Robertson, the most famous person in his phone book. Who's the most famous person in yours? Put you on the spot.
Maybe Andy Robertson.
Nice.
Caroline Weir, maybe? Kim Little? Yeah, all the same Scottish
big names,
footballers.
big names. So Tommy's an attacker like yourself. I mean, is there crossover in that department? Do you have a good relationship with Tommy? Do you sort of share, I guess, tidbits of knowledge and that kind of thing when you're up on the training ground? We
can, yeah. I think, you know, we speak and I speak to the men a lot. Tommy, obviously, I've got a lot in common with. But to be honest, like, we don't share knowledge in that sort of way. I think sometimes it's nice for us just to speak about football in general. You know, as a striker, you know when you're doing well and you know when you're not. And I'm not going to disrespect him, telling him what he needs to be better at. But yeah, strikers nonetheless. And as I say, I've got a great relationship with Tommy. And of course, you're going out to the Euros in the summer to watch the opening game. We'd love to see Tommy in that squad. He would add something different. You know, we've seen Lyndon Dykes and players like that playing here this season. In no way is he a lesser player than Lyndon Dykes. A different kind of player, nonetheless. How good would it be to see him get in that maybe just squeeze in that squad in the last minute? Yeah, no, it'd be great. Be great for Tommy. Be great for Bristol. You know, I think when you look at teams going into competition and major tournaments, you go off form and maybe because I'm a striker myself, but there's nothing, you know, more profitable or beneficial than a striker that's scoring goals. However they're going in, you know, if it's within the 6-yard box, if it's 18, 20-yard strikes, it's a goal at the end of the day. And, you know, the way Scotland have developed in the past sort of few months and over the past year under Steve Clarke has been unbelievable, and there probably is an element of needing a different type of striker for you know, that plan B moment. And in my opinion, nobody better than Tommy. So, you know, I'd put his name out there, and as you say, bring something fresh, bring something different. And you know, if it's not this major tournament with Scotland, I'm sure we'll get to the next one. He'll be there. Yeah, definitely. I agree, 100%. Right, let's have a look at today's opponent in a little bit more detail, where Bristol City can maybe look to hurt them today. We're starting with them defensively, maybe switching off a little bit at set pieces here. Very static there at the back. And as a striker in these kind of areas, Abby, where's the movement for you where you're looking to exploit? I think it's interesting on set pieces. You know, it doesn't come down to strikers. You know, you have your big defenders up there as well. It does look as if the three of them have sort of been attracted to the ball. They're obviously not man marking in that situation, so they should probably be holding their ground and, you know, taking control of their area, but they've been drawn to it, and, you know, if it's not the guy that scores, it's the guy behind them. So set pieces are a massive part of the game. You can win a game and lose a game based off of them, so it's something that every team trains very hard, but I think in every team an area can be exploited, and, you know, hopefully we can do that today.
Fingers crossed. And here's the second one now. Caught ball watching here, and the last two goals they have conceded have come from set pieces as well. Smodic's former City man there, capitalising. Lovely finish, you have to say, but again, a bit too static, and he just peels off his marker quite comfortably there. Yeah, no, you're right, great finish. It's probably underappreciated by a normal football fan that doesn't play and hasn't tried that themselves. But yeah, you know, set pieces is an area that I think we can exploit them. You know, you've got Rob Dickie, you've got Zach Viner, big threats, and it looks there and different to the corner. Everybody there is man marking, so if you win your 1v1 battle, then ultimately you should come out on top, and that's what's happened there. It's not taking a massive intelligent movement or run, you know, it's just one step off, and unfortunately that defender for them is got stuck under the ball. But we're lively, and, you know, we've got the players to win the first ball, but even better, we've got people intelligent enough to win that second ball. Yeah, and just finally, where they maybe could look to punish Bristol City today. We know Bristol City like to press. Here's an example of Swansea doing just that. Of course, new manager in January under Luke Williams, and things starting to come good for them. And Joe Williams here, the anticipation's very impressive. Joe Allen, I should say. Joe Williams, of course, played for Bristol City. Yeah, no, for sure. It's that anticipation, and clearly they've worked on that, and they know their triggers and their presses, and ultimately they've all went and they've chose to go, and they've got the rewards. I think as much as that can hurt Bristol in terms of playing down a trap, or, you know, thinking they can get away with something, but also if you can beat that heavy press, you're taking 6 people out of the game, and, you know, we've got fit and intelligent and fast wing backs and full backs and Cam and Ross, and then obviously you're intelligent and skillful attackers. So if we can break that initial press, I think we're going to cause them problems ultimately the other side as well. Absolutely. And then just briefly looking ahead to today, then, score prediction for you. Do you think Bristol City, where can they punish Swansea? I think what we've touched on there, set pieces, is going to be massive. I think, you know, Tommy's energy, obviously he came off the bench during the week, so he'll be fresh and he'll be ready to go and wanting to prove a point. So in terms of what we're good at, is that high press, and ours is triggered by him differently to you know, obviously Swansea's. So perfect. I think being lively is where we can hurt them, so I'm going to go 2-1 to City. Nice, thank you very much, Abby. Right, the game today is available domestically and overseas, but it's time for us to say goodbye to those of you that are watching on Facebook and YouTube. You can, of course, still download your matchday pass at bcfc.co.uk.